Hello and welcome to my Research in Practice Assessment 2 presentation. I have decided to do a dissertation. Initially I thought a consultancy project was what I wanted to do. However, in order to complete one, I needed to know someone in a business that would be likely to give me a problem to solve. Unfortunately, I don't know anyone that could give me a problem that I was excited and eager to learn about. I opted for a dissertation as I could write it around a subject that I am really passionate about. I feel that exploring one of my passions will overall allow me to gain a better result, and I will generally want to solve the problem that I will present through the course of this presentation. I have decided to do a dissertation around football hooliganism, but more specifically the rise of football hooliganism in the 21st century. This slide shows my aims and objectives for my dissertation. They are to investigate the rise of football hooliganism during the 1970s and 80s, identify the key factors that have seen a subsequent rise in football hooliganism in the modern game, identify the methods established in the 1980s and 1990s to prevent hooliganism and are they still working today, and to interpret the information gathered to establish an answer as to whether football hooliganism has returned to how it once was in the 1970s and 80s. So these are key stakeholders that my study will affect. They are the police, football fans, football clubs, hooligans and the local community. I have decided to complete my dissertation around the rise of football hooliganism because in the 2020-21 season, although 93% of the games were played behind closed doors, there were 116 football-related arrests, and 36% of these were for football violence. It is a topic that was widely researched in the 1980s and 1990s. More recently, however, it has not. So I think it will be interesting to compare academics results from the past to my results now. Literature review. Position of study. When searching football hooliganism on Google Scholar, there are 15,300 results. This will give me lots of books and journal articles to read and develop my literature review. Most of these are from the 1980s, 1990s and early 2000s. This means that I am able to compare and contrast my work with others in a different era, comparing findings. Furthermore, with journal articles that are more recent, I can utilise these by looking at their findings and methods of research and use it in my research, allowing me to produce a more in-depth, high-quality piece of work. Key authors and their findings. In order to broaden my knowledge, I have read a number of books and journals that will be key to my study in my dissertation. The following slide shows a table of books that I have read while preparing. I intend to read more over the summer to fully prepare me for when I must write the real thing in my dissertation. Arguably one of the most important pieces of literature that I have looked at so far is E. Dunning's 2000 journal article Towards a Sociological Understanding of Football Hooliganism as a World Phenomenon in the journal The European Journal on Criminal Policy and Research. Dunning explores the meanings of hooligan behaviour via an analysis of verbatim statements by the hooligans themselves. He locates the football hooligans in the overall social structure, especially the class system, and examines the dynamics of the relationship between them and the groups in wider society. Clark's 1973 book, Football Hooliganism and the Skinheads, gives a great overview of football hooliganism at its peak, while Spadge details football hooliganism across Europe more recently. All of these books and articles will contribute when writing my actual literature review next year. How will my study contribute? I think it is clear to see that some of the previous slides' papers are in fact outdated. My paper can contribute to the ongoing issue of football hooliganism by bringing to the table an updated study that will showcase the actual goings-on at a football game, through the interviews, questionnaires and research that I intend to undertake. I will then also be using the previous slides' literature and more in order to support my study and compare their findings to mine. This is an example of the patchwork method that I have designed. It is a useful tool that I can use to outline areas that I need to research and find literature on. I can use this when writing my dissertation literature review, as it prevents me from leaving a particular area of the study less researched than others. Methodology. I will be using a mixed method approach when researching football hooliganism. Completing mixed method research will not only allow me to better gauge with people's feelings and emotions qualitatively when it comes to the topic, but then a questionnaire will give me the opportunity to back up their opinions with facts and numbers quantitatively. As illustrated by Knorr, blending qualitatively and quantitatively methods of research can produce a final product which can highlight the significance of both. Interview. I intend to conduct semi-structured interviews. As described by Magaldi and Burler, it follows a guide. But unlike strict interviews, it also gives the interviewer license to explore whatever the interviewee says. This would therefore make the experience more meaningful and potentially give better results. Bingham and Moore describe the semi-structured interview as a conversation with a purpose. This method, I think, would also assist me, as conducting the interview will be a nerve-wracking experience, but using this method will prevent me from getting too nervous, as it will just be like having a conversation with a friend. Questionnaire. My second method of research is to conduct a questionnaire. According to Schmidt, questionnaires are useful as they give you access to a large group of people and they save time and money in comparison to an interview. My questionnaire will be developed on the software Qualtrics. It allows me to create a survey, distribute to my sample group to complete, and presents the findings neatly for my analysis. I will distribute the questionnaire through social media. Sampling. Sampling is the process of choosing a part of the population to represent the whole. I'll be relying on purposeful sampling when selecting my participants. I selected this over others as snowball sampling. It is impossible to determine the errors and therefore make generalizations. Random sampling. I will need a full up-to-date list of the population in order for it to be accurate and effective. Convenience sampling. There is a possibility that I could over or underrepresent the population. And furthermore, Thomas proposes that purposeful sampling can allow researchers to squeeze a lot more information out of the data that they have collected. Sampling. I'll be interviewing two members of the police, these being Jed Potter and Jack Atwell, both of Derbyshire Police, as they are both family friends. An interview will also take place with Gary Parkin, who is head of Derby County Security. For my questionnaire, I'll be posting the questionnaire on a range of different supporters groups and websites and Facebook groups, one of which I'm a member of. These will be football fans of a range of different ages and ethnicities that attend matches. There will be fans from different teams in a range of different leagues to obtain the fairest and most equal results. The combined total of the groups that I intend to post in is 15,500, so I will be hoping for a 50% engagement rate, giving me hopefully 7,750 responses. Analysis. For my interview, I'll be analysing my qualitative data by using thematic analysis. To do this, I will need to record interviews and write up the transcripts. This will allow me to directly quote from the interviews. Bourne and Clark define thematic analysis as allowing the researcher to identify and make sense of collective and shared experiences and meanings within the dataset. However, Holloway and Todres state that due to its flexibility, it can lead to inconsistencies and lack of coherence. For my questionnaire, I'll be analysing my data through SPSS. This will allow me to create correlations between results. One area I intend to examine the correlation between is if the fans have stopped attending games as a result of seeing football violence. Schofield found that football hooliganism was affecting attendances, and I want to see if this is still happening today. I also intend to utilise my questionnaire to supply supportive quantitative data when analysing my interviews. For example, if the police say that they have seen a rise in football violence, then does my quantitative data from the fans either support this or go against it? Thank you for listening.